we were coming up with different names. Actually, George came up with the name, and based on Gordon Pinsent, and it was just perfect for us. So, because we're really not that rowdy, to be quite honest, but we like to bring some of that on stage. But it's really, yeah, the inspiration was Gordon Pinsent, 100%.
My sister comes to most of our shows whenever she can, and she always says to me, "You're not very rowdy." And I'm like, "Well, it is a literary reference, so."
Speak for yourselves, guys.
Oh yeah, we got Jerry to amp up the rowdiness. When Greg and I met doing Come From Away in Toronto, we started talking about, the response to Come From Away, for one thing, how a lot of people across the country and around the world, in fact, were discovering things about Newfoundland for the first time because of Come From Away. And that's my experience. I came to Newfoundland for the first time in 2016, and I've been on this, I've been trying to sponge in as much about it as I can ever since, because obviously it affected me pretty deeply. So Greg and I were talking at a party in Winnipeg, way at the beginning of Come From Away, about how we should do something to keep bringing Newfoundland culture and stories to people who get a taste of it through Come From Away. And he said, well, I've already been talking to this guy, Jerry and Steve, about it. And so it took us a little while after that to get together. But that's basically how it came down. We met with Steve, and Steve was like, yeah, let's put something together. And so then the pandemic, so we evolved in kind of this way throughout that time. And well, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, we just, we've been friends for a long time, essentially, Aidan, George and I, through, the show in Toronto, and Jerry and I over the years. And I just remember Jerry came up with the idea for the band initially. And then when George and Jerry met, it was just instant. They connected right away. The chemistry was great. And then we were lucky enough to get this amazing fiddle player, Johanna So, who such a great musician. And so we're really excited to bring the band home, and to, not including myself in this. The musicianship is really high in the band too. Like, that's the thing. I'm really proud of the level of players in the band.
Yeah, except for Greg. You didn't include yourself in that.
No. Like, they're just it's so good, right? So I'm just excited for people, and Newfoundlanders really appreciate that, I think. Newfoundlanders are, they really know. So I'm just looking forward to bring, and, it's a chance for Jerry and I, and now George and Johanna, but, I've been playing all different types of music all my life, and to like play in a Newfoundland band, to play Newfoundland music, it's like, it just feels so natural for all of us. And
the response has been great. The response has been great everywhere. So for me personally, I'm really excited that these guys brought me into this project, because for me, it's this coming home, them coming and being at the Arts and Culture Center in St. John's and around the province is like my opportunity to say thank you and to show Newfoundland how much I love it.
Well, firstly, yes, I'm very important. I grew up around St. John's. My father's a terrible guitar player. He calls them chords. That's how bad he is. And I'm not kidding. But, he can sing 1,000 Irish songs. He can go to a pub in Dublin, stand on a table. So, you grow up, it's sort of the water we swim in, right? When you grow up in that environment. And as a young teenager, I think I wasn't interested. I wanted to, be David Lee Roth or something. And I didn't want to be some old guy with a mandolin. But, here we are. And it's just a joy to celebrate the music of my childhood and, the place where I'm from, which I'm so proud. So, really, it seems like a natural progression to get to this point. You can't fake your way through being in a reggae band. You're with guys who actually really know how to play that style of music. So there's been personally a lot of growth, musical growth for me to play these tunes, especially the instrumental stuff, but all of it. So for me, I've gotten to this point really naturally, and I find it really challenging every recording.
Man, we're gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna start. I love the Ennis sisters. I love what they're doing. I love their voices. I think they're great people. I love Rum Ragged a lot. And of course, I'm learning every day about Newfoundland bands. I've got some favorite songwriters. I don't want to single anybody out because, but I love, every time I can, I get down O'Reilly's to see Fergus play on a Thursday afternoon, or Jim Payne, wherever I can catch him. I was really lucky to see Maureen and Bud Davidge and Chris Andrews and Jim play at the folk night at the ship. And these things for me are like reading an encyclopedia almost, like I'm really, way more interesting. But I don't know. There's so many for me that are coming at me all the time. I don't want to even leave anybody out. I love the scene. I love how collaborative everyone is, not just in music. And that's new for me in my life too. Not super new, but to the degree that it is there, it's really beautiful.
The thing is too, so in the show, we have a lot of Newfoundland artists in the show, right? So, as George said, we have Buddy Watson and the other fellas. We reference them. We reference Great Big Sea because they're friends of mine, right? And I played with them. So, and Jim Payne, we do a Jim Payne number, and Ron Hines, right? So, I don't know who I'm leaving out, but like for the songwriters I can think of course, we love all, Rum Ragged and everybody. We love, there's so many. Where do you start and where do you end, Aiden? Honestly, right? So what we did, we just kind of picked songs that, you can never go wrong with Ron Hines. It's like, when we were playing those songs, they were just so great to play. And, to go home and play those songs is pretty special, right? And we have a new one that we're doing that no one's ever heard, that he's never released, so that we released on our album. And so we'll be playing that. And so there's so many great artists. Where do you start, really?
Yeah, I think we love Damien Follett, Rick Land, we love Larry Foley. We have so many friends with
Fred and Arthur. Yeah.
But when you ask, I think that if you ask somebody what their favorite Newfoundland band musician is, it's like asking somebody what their favorite band is. There has to be the Beatles, and then the answer is actually number 2. So the Newfoundland, it has to be Ron Hines, right? He has no peers. And as a kid watching the Wonderful Grand Band show, I just wanted to be Sandy Morris when I grew up, and I still do. So,
when I arrived in town, we were working on a track, and the way we work sometimes, because we're far flung, is remotely, and I had the opportunity to go in and work on one of our tracks in Sandy's home studio and at Daryl Cooper's home studio. And, to me, that blew my mind because I'm a newcomer to the scene. And there I am sitting in Sandy Morris's studio being recorded. And Jerry's talking to me about, how legendary Sandy is and how meaningful in his life. And I'm just meeting him for the first time. And it's, there are giants there. I could vocally, Arthur and Con, the O'Brien boys are pretty influential for me, and the list goes on.
I've played with another kind of Celtic folk or on the rock side group called the Town Pants, and I came into Ron Hines through that band a decade ago, and I'm just excited to go back to that stomping grounds of these tunes that I've heard for so long and played for so long and love. Actually, oftentimes, if we play Funny Scream, it will be assumed that it's an old Irish song, right? And having been to Ireland with other bands,
she was just there.
Just there a week ago on a different tour. The history, the culture is just so rich. There's so many songs that are so meaningful, and I go with Jerry's answer. I think it's a really good default. And you all have great answers. But yeah, I'm just excited to get back into this place that I've heard so much about and kind of soak up the culture and hopefully get to a session to listen and hear the locals, but that's really what I like to do is just soak up the local sound and let it kind of infuse into me and what's going to become and inform part of my style.
Newfoundland is gonna love Johanna. She's such a great musician, you know, like she tears it up.
Fairbanks, Alaska.
She's from Fairbanks, Alaska. She's ours now.
Maybe we want to hear some traditional tunes from Fairbanks, Alaska when she shows up too at that session. So
I was classically trained violinist, and actually my teacher, I asked if I could take fiddle lessons, and she was against it. So I had to go all the way through my traditional training and study music in university and, kind of go the classical path before I found avenues to get into fiddle and folk. And when I finally did, it was like this world just lit up to me and I was able to express myself in new ways. And I still keep the classical in my repertoire and keep my chops up, and I still love practicing, sonatas and concertos, but there's just something so freeing and so free about playing folk that I love.
Well, there's a simple answer to that. If you've read the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs book, it's on the first page, the explanation.
Yeah, come on, man.
So I'll just say you should reference that, and then you'll be all sorted.
Come on, man. The Ghouls.
is it the Ghouls or the
Yes.
Ghouls? Yeah, okay.
Who wants to sound like Mississauga?
Yeah, it was. I ended up playing with Rick Emmett too eventually.
What year would that have been?
85, maybe.
I didn't go.
Or it's probably
I was too young.
My first footfall in Newfoundland was May 27th, 2016. So I missed that one. I was born in Hamilton, which we're passing through right now, and I grew up in St. Catharines, Southern Ontario. I lived in Toronto for 30 years, and but honestly, the second I got to St. John's, like even before the plane was on the ground, I felt it. I just felt it. To this day, I cannot explain it. It just was calling me home. That's it. I think probably more the better stories about mishandling the cod. And I'm sure anyone who's screeched anyone in has those same stories. It'd be pretty slippery, and we threw it around a lot.
Well, there's a lot of people that could play it better than me, so I would say there probably is, but I just kind of hit the thing. But lots of people can play it better than me. That's my answer to that.
Greg just focuses on the ugly part.
He's one of the greats, that's for sure. He's incredible. The first time I rehearsed with Bert was in a room that was, 20 by 18 feet or something. And as soon as he started to play, the first time we played was Albert Flasher. And as soon as he opened his mouth, I remember thinking, like, that's why he sold 30 million records a night. Like, he's extraordinary. And he's one of those few people you meet once a decade or something that is, he's different, than other musicians and certainly people. But is he the best? I suppose it's hard to measure those things, but he's one of the greatest of all time.
Great Alaskan folk.
That's a great question.
Well,
There's Jewel.
that is true. That is true. I think Jewel was probably one of my first albums on CD that I owned. But Alaska has a state flag song, and if we could call it a folk tune, it's 8 stars of gold in a field of blue. Alaska's flag may mean to you. That's the opening line. And it's actually a really pretty melody that we used to sing as kids, so I would just go with that.
Maybe we'll get a bit of that on November 1st.
Oh, there you go.
Just that the show we're doing is, and it has been since the beginning, it really is, this is kind of a cliche phrase, but it really is a love letter to Newfoundland and Labrador. I mean, for all of us, for various reasons. Johanna's just about to experience it for the first time. and she's gonna find. I know she's gonna feel the embrace that I felt, and that everybody that I've welcomed to Newfoundland since I've been there feels too. So I'm excited for that, and and for Jerry and Greg coming home, you know, and it's a love letter to Newfoundland. So I really look forward to big love-ins around the province. Point something out here, chalk it up to bad planning, but I'm on 6% power and we don't have a charger in the van.
Me
so,
too. I like
FYI.
me too.
Sorry for the limited battery power.